Insights on recruiting and training the Flash as a rugby player introduction. Now, if we were to take the Flash and train him to play rugby, that'd be an exciting challenge. A player with his speed and agility would change the dynamics of any team he plays for. Rugby is about balance, speed, strength, tactics and teamwork. So, let's get into what position would suit him best, how he'd train, and what kind of influence he could have on the team. Flash's best rugby position. When you look at the attributes Flash brings, there's no question that his speed is his biggest asset. In rugby, having a fast player is crucial, especially in the back line. The first thought would be to place him on the wing. Why? Wingers are usually the fastest players on the field, responsible for finishing attacking plays by using their speed to get past defenders. A player like the Flash would almost guarantee that any ball reaching the wing would end in a try, the rugby equivalent of a touchdown. Imagine him getting the ball in open space. He'd be gone before the opposition even knew what hit them. However, there's a bit more to it than just raw speed. Wingers also need to be good under the high ball. They need to have solid defense. And they need to know when to come off their line and get involved in attacking moves. These are things Flash would need to train. Another possible position would be fullback, the last line of defence. Fullbacks need to be quick, good at reading the game, and able to counter-attack. Flash would be devastating on the counter. Whenever the opposition kicks the ball deep, you'd have the fastest man alive running it back at you with a head of steam. Flash's training routine right. Now let's talk about how we train him. Flash is obviously fast, but raw speed won't be enough in rugby. We'd need to focus on developing his other skills. Tackling technique. Rugby is a physical game. It's all well and good that Flash can outrun anyone, but he'll also need to defend. Tackling technique is crucial, and we'd work with him on lowering his centre of gravity and making effective, safe tackles. Ball handling. Being able to pass accurately, catch under pressure, and control the ball in contact are skills every rugby player must have. Even if he's on the wing or playing fullback, he needs to be confident with his hands. Game awareness. One thing that can't be overlooked is rugby IQ. Flash would need to learn how to read the game, understand defensive patterns, and know when to pass, kick, or run. We'd set up drills to work on his decision making so he doesn't rely solely on his speed. Endurance. Flash is incredibly fast, but rugby is a game of sustained effort over 80 minutes. We'd need to work on his endurance and recovery, making sure he can handle the physical demands of the game. Interval training, high-intensity drills, and long runs would be a key part of his regimen. Positioning, especially if he plays fullback or wing. Positioning on the field is critical. He'd need to learn when to drop back, when to move forward, and how to cover the space effectively. Flash's personality. Flash, or Barry Allen as his alter ego, seems like a humble, hard-working guy. That's the kind of attitude you need in rugby. Sure, he's got a big gift, his speed, but he doesn't seem like the type to coast on that. We'd expect him to put in the hard yards in training and really work on rounding out his game. He'd likely be a positive influence in the locker room too. From what we know, he's a team player, always putting others before himself, which is what rugby is all about. He'd fit well into a rugby environment, where camaraderie and team spirit are just as important as individual talent. That said, his quick wit and light-hearted nature could also bring some fun to the group. Rugby is intense, and having someone who can lighten the mood while also performing at a high level can do wonders for team morale. Impact on fellow rugby team members. Now, a guy like Flash would certainly raise the bar for everyone around him. His speed alone would force his teammates to play a faster, sharper game. In attack, they'd know that if they can get the ball to him in space, it's game over for the opposition. That kind of confidence can lift a team. On defense, his presence would allow the rest of the backline to focus on their own roles, knowing that Flash can cover more ground than anyone else. His recovery speed would be unmatched, allowing him to clean up any potential breaks. But there's a flip side. When you have a player with such an extraordinary skill, sometimes the rest of the team can become overly reliant on them. We'd need to guard against that. Rugby is a team game, and every player needs to pull their weight. Flash's speed can't be a crutch for the others. Pros and cons of adding Flash to the team. Pros: unmatched speed. There's no one in rugby or any sport really who could compete with Flash in a foot race. That's a game changer, game breaker. He'd be an unstoppable force in attack, creating opportunities that no one else could. Defences would have to adjust just for him. Positive influence. His work ethic and team-first attitude would be great for the locker room and training environment. Defensive safety, net, his recovery speed means he could prevent tries that would be certain against other teams. Cons. Over-reliance. The team might lean too heavily on Flash's abilities, which could make them vulnerable in other areas. Physicality, Flash might struggle with the physical side of rugby. He'd need time to adapt to the contact, tackling and the grind of an 80-minute game. Game awareness. Rugby is a nuanced sport, and Flash might take time to learn when to use his speed and when to hold back. Sometimes raw speed isn't enough. You need to know when and how to use it. Flash's rugby team nickname. Every player gets a nickname, and Flash is no different. Given his speed and the comic book connections, the obvious choice would be Lightning. It's simple, it fits his abilities, and it's got that touch of power and danger that you want in a rugby nickname. Another possibility could be the Streak, since he'd be a blur on the field, but Lightning feels like the right fit. It's sharp, fast and deadly, just like how he'd play on the field. Conclusion: bringing Flash into a rugby team would be a fascinating challenge, but the potential upside is enormous. His speed alone would make him a game-changing talent, but we'd have to work hard on developing the rest of his rugby skills. Tackling, ball handling and positioning are all crucial areas he'd need to focus on, but with the right training, he'd be a force to be reckoned with. His personality would be a great fit for a rugby team, and while there would be some challenges in terms of making sure the team doesn't become too reliant on him, the positives far outweigh the negatives. Flash, or Lightning as we'd call him, would bring a unique dynamic to the team, one that no other player in the world could replicate. In rugby, speed kills, and with Flash on your team, you'd have more speed than anyone else in the world. By the way, if you like this type of video, subscribe for more unique sports content and don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos.